The judge saw all of this incredible support, and he says, "Young man, why are you wasting your life away?"
Jeffrey, thanks so much for joining me here on the Go with Manav. For those that do not know you, could you please tell them a bit more about yourself?
Well, firstly, thanks, Manav, for having me. Yeah, my name is Jeff Andrews. I'm a Hongkonger of Indian descent. I'm born and raised in the city. I've lived here all my life, and I'm now a registered social worker, but I manage two community centers in the very iconic Chungking Mansions of Hong Kong.
Great, Jeffrey. Well, we have a lot to cover in this podcast, but first, I would like to go back in time, just a bit more about your childhood and what it was like growing up in Hong Kong. So, could you please tell us, Jeffrey, what was it like just growing up in Hong Kong in general?
Yeah, I think, being in a city which I, always assumed it was multicultural, but growing up in a local school in Hong Kong, I was put into a segregated school. Morning sections all local Chinese, and then, when they finished school, 12:30 would be all the ethnic minorities. It was just strange for me, and we weren't really taught Cantonese, so we always just assumed that Hong Kong was English speaking and maybe a little bit of your own mother tongue. And then secondary school, I thought, oh, now it's full day school. Surely you can't be segregated, but they did. It was different floors, and again, I wasn't taught Cantonese. So yeah, growing up, I always had this identity crisis because I'm Indian, I'm from the South, I don't really speak Hindi, I'm Christian, and then I'm in the city in Hong Kong where it's predominantly Chinese. So it was a little bit of a kind of a challenging time, but nonetheless, Hong Kong was it's still home. It's such a beautiful city. Great to be part of a community of the non-Chinese. But yeah, it was strange. It was strange.
It's so interesting you say that because I feel the same way when I'm in the UK, for example. I feel like sometimes I have to prepare myself when they might be asking me, "Oh, where am I from?" And I say, "I'm actually from Hong Kong," and they're like, "What? No way! Like you
It's
don't look like you're from Hong Kong." And yeah,
correct.
I was born and raised there. And they're like, "What? How do you speak Mandarin? Do you speak Cantonese?" I'm like, I used
Y-
to, or maybe
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
anymore.
And then to having to explain yourself and kind of prove that you really are from Hong Kong. Don't understand that Hong Kong is a very global city in itself, and but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And speaking about being tough and the toughness of growing up in Hong Kong, for you in particular, Jeffrey, age 18 was pretty life transforming for you. So could you please tell us a bit more about what that year actually was like for you and what it taught you?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, growing up in the school system at a young age, segregated in a city that I would say at that time was not inclusive, did not really take into consideration there was so many ethnic minorities growing up, and there wasn't jobs for us because we weren't taught Cantonese, and many of the jobs required it. Even the police force, as a young person, I wanted to be a policeman, but they required you to speak and read Cantonese. So already at a young age, my friends and my peers were already looking at what was Plan B or C. But
Yeah.
sadly, the easier route was gangs, drugs, and I saw many of my friends had teenage pregnancies, broken families. And I thought I wouldn't go into that route because I just thought coming from a middle class family, decent upbringing, church. But I went through a rough patch as well, left school, poor results. And the only way out I found was gangs. And I thought that's the only place that actually accepted me,
Mm,
ironically,
yeah.
right? No language requirements, come and join. I just thought I would never get into trouble until one fine day I was arrested. And it was a big moment in my life because one, I knew about racial profiling. Every time I see a police officer, I'm getting my ID ready. But getting arrested is a completely different world. You will see the justice system, and you would see as minorities, if you do not have good resources and support, you are in trouble. Once you get that first criminal record, that follows you the rest of your life. But for me, yeah, I was arrested, sitting in that cell in Wan Chai police station. Big wake up call for me. I didn't call my parents to support me because, Indian boys, you know how we are. The last thing you want to do is call your parents.
Oh,
I
yeah.
called my friends, and they were still in the gangs, and or many of my friends didn't even pick up the phone. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the real world. You get to see who's who. So I was lucky. I called a social worker to come and bailed me out at 4 a.m. Local Chinese social worker. Her name is Fermi Wong, and till today, I'm just grateful for her because I would not be here sitting with you had I not made that phone call and asked for help. I'd probably be in the gang system, probably in a vicious cycle of, yeah, wreaking havoc in society.
Wow, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing that, Jeffrey. So, one thing I love about Hong Kong is the sense of community, and Hong Kong is a bubble, but it's also scary because it's who you surround yourself with, and I'm sure that's something you learned a lot growing up as well. What made you want to call the social worker? Because assuming for you, you probably were like, I have my friends, you're still young, so why out of nowhere you decided to call a social worker?
It's a great question. Again, the South Asian culture, we're asked not to like ask for help. Just, make sure it's your own family because you don't get
Absolutely.
shamed and all that. But man, that was when I was in that cell. I was there for about 30 hours. I'm getting tired. And I just didn't know what to do. I didn't want to call my parents, my dad and mom. I knew they're going to panic. They're going to be more angry and make it probably worse for me. I don't know. I just didn't think in that way. Didn't have really good friends to look up to. I'm a spiritual guy, I believe in God. And as a Christian, I think it was God that put me that number in my head. I mean, this is back 15, 20 years ago when you didn't have numbers and mobile
Yeah.
phones in a sense. So yeah, I still remember that number 92376464. Why her?
Wow.
Because I think for 2 years prior to me in the gang, she was trying to help me and my friends to get out of trouble, find a plan B, find a different path in life. But I always ignored her. I think sometimes we do that as young people.
Mhm.
We think we know everything. But yeah, it just clicked to me in the head. This is one lady I remember always at the back of my head trying to help us in society. And I called that number at 4 a.m. I mean, none of I nowadays try calling your friends at 4 a.m. It's
Yeah.
it's it's tough. Who's going to come down to police and bail you up, give you the money for it? And she did. It hit me a lot when I was getting bailed out. I was doing my fingerprinting, mugshot, and behind me was a blackboard in Wan Chai police station, and it says NEC. Do you know what NEC stands for?
I do not.
No, it's non-ethnic Chinese. So you and I are non-ethnic Chinese. And I saw on that
Mm.
blackboard the crimes and the statistics, and I was going to be another one added on to that. So it kind of hit me
Yeah.
hard, what society is and all that. But anyway, yeah, that's why I called Fermi Wong, and she came and rescued me, man.
Wow. I mean, there's a reason why we have 4 a.m. friends for sure now, if you think about it. What were your parents' reactions like? I mean, eventually they had to find out.
Well
Yeah.
said. It was 4 a.m. getting bailed out. I went home at 6-ish, 6:30, and I'm pressing my doorbell and I'm panicking, right? I mean, you're about to tell your parents that you're arrested. So I picked up the door. I see my dad waking up and he sees this Chinese lady next to me. He's like, "Who's this, your girlfriend?" I said, "No, it's a social worker." And I said, "What's going on?" I went in. I was about to tell them. I'm thinking, man, they're going to smack me in front of the social worker. What am I getting myself into? My mom's waking up. I told him, "Mom, Dad, I've been arrested. This is Fermi Wong who's taking me out." And instead of giving me a few smacks or shouting, they cried. They cried like babies. And I think
Well,
Manav, as you and me were Indian boys, that hurts sometimes more than, your parents or I just told them and they said, "Jeff, you're just starting your life at 18.
yeah.
How hard it is already. And this is just going to set you back. We don't even know for what, for how long anyway." Fermi Wong was so amazing. She was handling that situation, saying, "Hey, look, Jeff has been arrested, but he's got to go to court in 2 months' time." The reality is, most ethnic minorities usually, once they get arrested for the first offense, it's a criminal record, and then worst, jail time. But she found me a
Mm.
lawyer, found me VIPs from society to write me mitigation letters and support letters. People that didn't even know me wrote, "Jeff
Well,
is a good boy, give him a chance." And I kid you not, 2 months down the line, I went into court. The judge saw all of this incredible support, and he says, "Young man, why are you wasting your life away? I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to give you a 1 year bind over. A 1 year bind over means if you commit any crime in 1 year, you do two. You do it for your previous offense plus the one that you've just been arrested for." So I stayed out of trouble for that 1 year, man. I just like, look, that was a big wake up call for me. I cannot be taking chances like that.
so this was all happening at 18. So what were the following years, ages 19 to 24, let's say? What was that period like for you then?
Yeah.
Because, yeah,
I mean, again, you're right. What's next after your arrest? It's a wake up call, but you still got to get back into society. Fermi Wong was incredible. She said, "Jeff, now you owe me. We're going to fight the system together, fight the policies that are hindering the progress of ethnic minorities in Hong Kong." So, yeah, we met government officials, we met university deans and all that, give these guys a chance to have a breakthrough into these institutions. They all mostly said no because they can't read and write Cantonese. But Fermi
yeah.
never takes no for an answer, and she fought community colleges, and finally one which is now called the VTC Vocational Training Council slash Ivy. They allowed us to be a special unit where Fermi Wong got special funding to buy a classroom full of minorities, with the teaching staff. So we just made inroads and breakthroughs in many of the institutions in Hong Kong, and then I found myself a job. I worked in a
Nice.
TV company called Star TV.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, yeah, great job. I took it too easy. Fermi Wong kept saying, "Jeff, go back to school, evening school, because build your qualifications." I just wanted to focus on football, man. I love football so much.
Mm,
Yeah, I want to be a professional footballer. I played for the district in Kowloon City. I played semi-pro. But I think also there were so many obstacles, even in the football pitch. Now I'm so proud many ethnic minorities are professional players here. But back in my time, forget the
mm,
anomaly. There was just none. So yeah.
wow.
Anyway, I lost my job after 3 years of being in the TV company. Very depressed. 25. I'll never forget thinking, what am I going to do? My mom was at a prayer meeting in Chungking Mansions. She came home that night, said, Jeff, she was at a prayer, she said, please pray for my son. I'm worried he might go back to gang life again. Came home, said, Jeff, I found you a job. And I'm like, Mom, where? And she says, Chungking Mansions. I'm like, what? Like, what will we do in Chungking Mansions? And people don't like that space. And I did some of my bad stuff around there. Anyway,
Oh,
it's crazy to tell you, man, but till today, I'm there, 2026. I'm still in Chungking. Now I manage both centers, and my mom's been my recruiter. I can't believe this.
wow.
Yeah,
So I actually got two questions quickly before we jump into
sure,
Chungking Mansion. First
sure.
question is, how did you connect with Fermi Wong, this social worker? She seems so, passionate, determined, and really wanted to help you. I mean, she really saw something in you,
Yep,
Jeffrey, that,
yep,
it could have been anyone else, but she specifically really wanted to help you.
yep. I think for me, I mean, look, I'll be honest, we used to hang out in Jordan Park, the parks. We love football, but that was also where the gangs are, the drugs are, and all sorts of. I think as a pastor social worker, she just came into the places where we all hung out, trying to find us different pathways. But we're young and naive. I just never paid attention to her. The only time I ever
Mm.
paid attention to her was when she organized football tournaments, got us uniforms and shoes, or some cultural event. She'll say, "Hey, Jeff, why don't you be the MC?" And
Oh,
I think it
nice.
was through these little bits of pieces I said, "Wow, this woman is." Step by step, it's not someone that's trying to do one-off things. She was really trying to build community, and
Yeah.
that's when I called her. Not at 4 a.m. I thought, let's give this a try. I'm already in
Wow.
the biggest trouble of my life. Most people do is say no. But little did I know till today, 20 years on, I'm still owing her so much of what I've, been through.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Now, the second question is, what was it like, going from being a follower, being in the gangs to now a leader, differentiating yourself? Because
Wow.
especially in Hong Kong is a type of place where it's very collectivistic. It's a sense of
Yeah.
community and,
Yeah.
standing out is tough amongst the crowd. So how did it feel making that jump?
Oh, Manav, no one's ever asked me a question like that. That's so interesting. Thank you for you're putting it into perspective as well for me. You're right.
Yeah, of
I think it's
course.
so easy to follow. To lead is a tough thing, and I must say here in my role, I've had to. And I think for me, what really made me into a leader is when you go through crisis. I think every crisis is an incredible opportunity to see
Yeah.
where you are and how to push yourself. And I'm not saying there's a ready-made textbook for this stuff. You're still going to fall and go through so many challenges. But I think right now I've got this resilience in me that, you know what, I've been through a lot and I'm going to keep learning. And I think we just keep pushing those boundaries. And I think I'm tired of being a follower because I've seen following does not lead to incredible change. It's just stagnant. When you lead, you get to do this as a community. And I must say, my leadership style it's got to be finding people's different strengths and putting them together,
Yeah.
and then working on that. But I'm so proud of what me and my community have achieved here in Chunky Mansions in Hong Kong. Yeah, and I keep pushing those boundaries. And I think for me now, I thrive on crisis in a sense because I feel there's opportunity in there.
Absolutely. That's great, Jeffrey. I'm really happy for you.
Thank you.
Now, moving on to Chungking Mansions. So for people
Yeah.
listening and might not know what is it exactly, how would you describe it as if you were telling it to someone for the first time?
Sure, it's the most, I would say, the most infamous building in Hong Kong. Because in Hong Kong, no matter where you're from, when you somehow have heard of Chongqing or Chungking Mansions, it's infamous for being the only place in Hong Kong where the minorities are not are the Chinese folks, and it's the ethnic others. It's the Indians, the Pakistanis, the Africans, and all that. Professor Gordon, who famous anthropologist, wrote a book, and the book's title is called "Ghetto in the Center of the World." Right.
Oh,
For the local media, it is a no man's land. Don't go in there because you're gonna be, it's a crime laden space. It's not safe for women. So that's the usual rhetoric around Chunky Mansions. But I must
yeah,
say, I'm proud of what we've done in the last couple of years. I run tours, cultural initiatives. We have this beautiful center here called the Center for Refugees. And next door, just last year, we opened Diversity Hub, which is Hong Kong's first mini museum cultural space that talks about showcases our contributions to the city. So I wish, Manav, you, when you do come down to Hong Kong, you've got to come and visit. You'll
absolutely.
see every contribution from the Sikhs to the Sindhis to the Zoroastrians to the Tamils to the Africans to the Nepalese, how we've made Hong Kong what it is today. So yeah, I mean, I can't imagine. Last year, I took Mirror on a tour of Chungking. I mean, Mirror is like, Hong Kong's biggest pop band, and they've
Oh,
come
wow.
inside. Every day I'm doing tours. Just after this, I've got to rush off to do another tour, which is great. Students, kindergarten, primary schools, secondary schools, corporates, churches, all coming into the building for the first time in their life because they've been told don't go in. Whereas we're showing them this is a beautiful, diverse space where you get to see the multiculturalism of Hong Kong, and Hong Kong is a true international city. So, I always say when you're discriminating the building, you're not discriminating the building, you're discriminating the people. you
Yeah,
know,
I was gonna
and
say
that's
that.
not fair. And if you come in, you'll see everyone plays an important part of Hong Kong. I always say if there's no chunky mentions, Hong Kong would be quite, I would say, bland in a sense, because if people say, "Oh, international Hong Kong's, global city," you always say Lang Kwai Fong, but Lang Kwai Fong is kind of more artificial. It's a Friday,
Yeah,
Saturday night thing, but here it's a daily where you see people in their authentic selves. So yeah, and
very true.
Chim Sat Choi, so multicultural. You got the mosque, you got the Hindu temple, you got St. Andrew's Church. You've got diversity in your face. Where I'm proud.
That's awesome, Jeffrey. Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear that. It's funny because I actually watched Chungking Express for the first time this year. So and it's like, oh, that's something that people, abroad would associate with Hong Kong with.
All right.
Absolutely. And the fact that, yeah, you're right that, Chungking Mansion, it gives someone or it gives people something to talk about. But it's great that you're now, shaping the narrative more positively and you're doing those
Absolutely.
tours for sure. Now, Jeffrey, could you please tell us a bit more about Christian Action that also goes, along with Chungking Mansion that you're part
That's
of?
right. Christian Action is 40 years as of November. We're a huge NGO. We started serving the white Russians who were fleeing Russia into Hong Kong. By the way, the lasting legacy they left behind for Hong Kong is the borscht soup. And then we became famous in
Nice.
serving the Vietnamese boat refugees. So our head office used to be right in the campsites in the old airport. Now, what do we do here? We have other centers around Hong Kong serving different marginalized groups, but the one in Chungking is primarily serving refugees, asylum seekers. It's called Center for Refugees, and it's an incredible space where we have meals going on, we have classes and activities and fantastic culture. And then now we have the newest spot, which is the Diversity Hub, which is again a proud little space that just showcases that because we don't have our own museum enough. We don't have our own cultural space. Yes, there's the
Yeah,
history museum and the heritage stuff, but I will say maybe a page or a paragraph about us. There's nothing in our school textbooks. I don't know, man. Growing up in Hong Kong, did you ever see a textbook which says, "Oh, by the way, ethnic diverse communities like the Indians have contributed to Hong Kong"? You won't see that. So what we've
no,
done is taken that all and put it into this one space. So I'm really proud. Tonight we're actually hosting South Asian Heritage Month through Puja Kapai, and she's
amazing.
got a book launch as well of stories that talk about belonging. So again, so proud of what we've overcome together and how I again owning the narrative, what you just said, and then also taking the initiative. Don't rely on the top, the people out there to do it. Do it yourself and build it, and then people will come. And I think that's what I've seen in my last 17 years of being here. You just got to keep pushing it, and then support will come.
Absolutely. Well, Jeffrey, firstly, I'm really happy for you. It seems like 2026 things are going really well this year. And it got me thinking, when I was reading about you, to get to the stage wasn't easy for sure. We talked about your
Absolutely.
life at 18, at 25, and
Yeah,
now, especially Hong Kong went through a lot during 2019 to 2023, 2024.
absolutely.
Um, could you please tell us a bit more about what that period was like for you in particular and with your job?
2019 was a very complex time, as we remember Hong Kong was going through the social unrest. And I think
Yeah,
for me, very up close personally, because one fine day someone just put up on social media, let's go and attack the South Asian community, the mosque, and Chungking Mansions. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, how is this even possible for a city like Hong Kong? I mean, I know there's been discrimination, there's racism, sure, but now to go and physically attack and create kind of a race riot, unthinkable.
yeah,
So yeah, a couple of my friends, we just thought this can't happen. And we decided we're going to stand outside Chungking Mansion as peaceful ambassadors and just to diffuse a very tense situation, show them this is our home. We're Hong Kongers as well, that no one should be attacking anyone for their race, religion, and all that. I must say that was a big watershed moment because we diffused a very, very supposed to be a catastrophic event to a moment I would say for Hong Kong was so beautiful because people suddenly saw these guys were speaking Cantonese. They are Hong Kongers. They're trying to protect their neighborhood. Chungking is just another part of Hong Kong. Thanks to that, 5 days later, on the 25th of October, which was Diwali, we actually wanted to organize tours like
nice.
properly. And our first tour was 5:30, and I'll never forget. At 4:30, my friend sent me a WhatsApp photo. I'll show that to you, and it just showed people lining up all the way to Holiday Inn. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's crazy. People really want this. They
Wow.
really want to actually understand diversity and all that. So since then, we've never stopped. And I think for me, that just shows you how important community initiatives are, what we're doing, community building, highlighting stories. It's one thing to go to a school and do a PowerPoint deck about multiculturalism, but it's one thing to come out of your classrooms, come out of your corporate offices, come out of your comfort zones to come in and see for yourself. And I think that's something we're really cool. A crisis turned into an opportunity. Seeking help is something that till today I am so proud of because it's not something that's ingrained in us in our community, in our culture, in our traditions. But I can,
Absolutely.
you know, if I had not asked for help, if I didn't get my friends involved, if I didn't get my social worker involved, I would not be here. And I think this is something that I'm now instilling in the younger generations because, believably, I am now going out and bailing young youth who are in similar circumstances to me. So for me, it's full on a full circle for me to go do that. And I'm glad nowadays they are seeking help. I think it's because now we as change makers have said it's okay to ask help. And I'm glad that the youth are doing that, though we're trying to create less of that situation. That's why my youth training center is so important, telling them there is a plan B and C in life, where someone did tell me when I was arrested or pre-arrested, when I was disillusioned with society, that there is actually plan B and C's, guys. And it's okay to
Yeah.
take those routes. Nothing has to be straight to success routes.
Yeah, it's so interesting you're saying that about seeking help because, we were taught growing up not to, be emotional, don't talk about your feelings or anything, mental health wasn't talked about that much in Hong Kong. That was the norm. And it's so, great to see that in full circle moments, you are now going back to bail out young kids who were in the position that you were back in years ago when you were 18.
Correct.
Who
Correct.
knew you were going to be, doing all of that years later on it and now advocating and being such a fantastic leader for the community that you're in Chungking Mansion and Diversity Hub and Christian Action for sure.
Thank
Now,
you.
Jeffrey, we have two more questions left for you,
Yeah.
and the second last question is, what's next, or what are you up to nowadays? Because 2026, touch has been a great year for you so far,
Yeah.
but what else has been keeping you busy?
Yeah, I think for me, I am continuing on with these tours, cultural initiatives. For me, my dream, which I believe you should continue to dream, because if not, like you said, I'm so proud that you're about to finish your complete your 40th podcast. For me, it's continuing to build on from Diversity Hub, continuing to build on from the tours. I hope that Chungking Mansions one day will get a cultural heritage preservation site status from the government because I think it's important. Hong Kong is all about nostalgia now, trying to keep the old and that kind of distinctness. And I think Chungking has to play that part. If you go to other parts of the world, you got Chinatown, you got Little India. But I hope for us, we will have Chungking as that iconic space and where diversity and all is represented well. Sad for me, like you look at Kowloon City, right? Thai community, it's kind of gone because they're redeveloping that side. But I'm
Mm.
hoping that the government will preserve some distinct features of that, and that's what my dream is right now. Yeah, to continue on and pushing the boundaries, serving more youth, and hopefully tomorrow there'll be more social workers like me instead of only me doing this work. Yeah, just continue to build on community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm sure again, like you've already been doing so well, Jeffrey, and in the coming years, if not sooner, hopefully you'll be able to set out, the things that you would have already wanted to achieve, especially with, the Hong Kong government, the
Yeah,
Hong Kong Tourism Board.
correct.
Yeah, no, it all sounds really exciting stuff.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
Jeffrey, for my final question, usually I like to end the same way that I usually started off. And I asked you at the start, more about your childhood and what it was like growing up in Hong Kong and what you were doing at age 18. Obviously, it was a very life transforming, it was a big year for you, a pivotal year for you. So now thinking about everything you've been able to achieve since then, what would you say to your 18-year-old self, Jeffrey?
No one's ever asked that question in that way, but oh my gosh, yeah, for sure. I think for me, a lot of my friends say, "Hey, we've made success out of our life through a very normal upward trajectory. Whereas for you, you've had your ups and downs and your falls." I think for me till today, I would never change that because it's built my resilience, it's built my character. And I think one more thing very important for me, Manav, is also humility. Sometimes we might think we're too good, nothing's going to break us down, but actually you need those in everyone's life to humble yourself and then to rebuild again and to make sure that when you're doing something it is not just for your own sole purpose but it's for the greater good. I would not change a thing. I think in fact it's made me better than
Yeah.
who I probably would have been back then.
That's great, Jeffrey. Thanks so much. And thank you for joining me here today on the Good Manav. For those who like to get in touch and just to learn more about you or, visit your center or, in some way able to help you out and contribute, what would be the best way for them to do that?
I think just come in through my social media platforms, message me. I love having people just say, "Hey, I'd like to reach out." And my style is after you reach out, I love calling you in and coming in and showing you the space that we have and again build community through many of these kind of communications. And I've had people come in and now they're part of my team. Now they're part of
Wow.
volunteering here. Some of our youth are now part of our cohort. So I love that. And I think this is why I love doing podcasts and things like that. You just never know the opportunity and how much impact and inspiration we could give to others.
Absolutely amazing stuff, Jeffrey. Well, thank you for joining me here today. For those watching, make sure to like and subscribe. A new guest will be on soon. Jeffrey, I will see you soon in Hong Kong. And yeah, take care.